On today's show, it's game day for the Ottawa Senators back at the CTC taking on the Eastern Conference best team, the Washington Capitals.
And we have friend of the show back on the podcast. It's Ian Mendes. Ross gives him some trivia, pitches him a dumb idea, and more.
This is Brady Tkachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome! You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Today is Thursday, January 16th, and Pilsy, Levi Merilainen will start in goal again tonight for the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah, the Ottawa Senators are clearly showing him that they have faith in him, and why not, Ross? You got to ride the hot hand. This kid has been incredible the last couple of games, and he's no stranger to having tough opponents to go up against, as tonight, the Washington Capitals, he's got his work cut out for him.
And we'll get into the Capitals in just a minute, but a few notes from the morning skate. Today's Senators just wrapping up their practice, and there were a couple of what we hope are maintenance days. Jake Sanderson and Nick Jensen not on the ice at practice this morning. We're awaiting an update from Travis Green. Maybe we'll have that by the end of today's show. Ian would not divulge anything. However, we did note that Sebrango is called up. Donovan Sebrango, left shot defenseman. The thought would have initially been, is Thomas Chabot not okay after taking a shot in the face? But Chabot is on the ice with a bubble. So we'll see whether Sebrango's the seventh defenseman. We know Ottawa has carried 7D quite a bit this year, just in case they need an extra. But man, do I ever hope that not only Jake Sanderson's in, but Nick Jensen, a revenge game for him. His first game it would be against his former team.
Yeah, kind of surprising news, Ross. I'm of the mind that it's maintenance days for both of these guys, and also kind of surprising that they had Max Gannett with them, sent him down, and now have brought back up Donovan Sebrango. So interesting moves by the Ottawa Senators there, and I'm not sure if you mentioned it, Ross, but Michael Amadio and David Perron both practicing in regular jerseys today. So although it doesn't look like they're in the line rushes, so I doubt they will be playing tonight, that's a good sign that they're at least getting closer to getting back to NHL action.
With a back-to-back on the weekend, too. Yep. So hopefully those two are back. Michael Amadio, I think, had a goal against Boston, didn't he? Wasn't that where he snapped out of a long funk the last time when Ottawa got that overtime win against the Boston Bruins? It'd be nice to have him back. And obviously David Perron, we just want to see him get some sort of traction on his first season with the Ottawa Senators. So we won't pull up the graphic. We are awaiting confirmation on the lineup for tonight. You can go to @SensCentral on Twitter for all the latest. But tonight's opponent, man, look, Ottawa's won 3 games in a row, but the Washington Capitals are the tough test in the National Hockey League and in the Eastern Conference right now. They sit first by a landslide. They are 6 points clear of everybody in the Eastern Conference. They're 6-1-3 in their last 10 games, and on the season are 29-10-5. They took a couple big and questionable swings where it could have hit or missed at the plate in the offseason, bringing in Jakob Chychrun, bringing in Pierre-Luc Dubois, and going out and getting Logan Thompson as their new starting goalie, and it feels like it's paying off in spades.
Every single thing the Washington Capitals did this summer has worked out perfectly for them. And like at the beginning of the season, Ross, looking at this roster, I kind of had the idea, okay, this is a team that's in a retool. They're not rebuilding, but they're in a retool. Basically, they're going to do whatever they can to get Ovechkin to the #1 goal-scoring title in NHL history, and they're just going to see how things go. They're not even going to be close to playoff contention. My God, have they proved me and a lot of other people wrong. This team is humming along, and on their website, Ross, for the game preview today, they note that after beating the Ducks, Washington's home point streak stretches to 11 straight games, 8-0-3, and their overall point streak, 8 games, 5-0-3. Now, I know, obviously, they're not in Washington. They're in Ottawa, but that just goes to show you that this team has things clicking right now.
Yeah, this is not their home, Pilsy. This is the Senators' home, and they're coming off a huge home win on Sunday against Dallas, and then they go out and get that big road win in their last game. Jakob Chychrun is having a hell of a season. 30 points in 39 games. He's also got 12 goals, which is tied for second among all NHL defensemen behind Zach Werenski of the Columbus Blue Jackets. So, I mean, who's not going to be looking out for him? I've got another player, but first, what kind of reception do you think Jakob Chychrun will get in Ottawa?
I don't think he should be one of the guys that gets booed, Ross. Like
I agree.
The DeBrincat one, that makes sense and that's warranted. But Jakob Chychrun, look, things just didn't work out here. He wanted to be here. He still put up big points. I mean, I guess you could say the same for DeBrincat. Maybe not the point that we thought DeBrincat would, but. And the thing is, too, Ross, the DeBrincat trade, the return was not good for the Sens, whereas the return for Jakob Chychrun, it ended up working out great for both teams. So I would be shocked if people have the same kind of hatred and if he even gets boo-birds in tonight's game.
I think he'll get a respectable round of applause when they pull up. I'm assuming it's not going to be a video tribute, but just a graphic tribute. Welcome back, Jakob Chychrun. Yeah. And there'll be a polite round of applause, and then everyone will move on with their lives after that. It is the definition of a win-win trade. Nick Jensen has been all that and more, especially on the defensive side of the puck, where Chychrun seemed to struggle the most. And even though Chychrun's put up all these points, analytically, he's not that great. It's kind of like, all the tools, maybe not the toolbox to be able to carry it around. And then you look at it, and Pilsy, at even strength, Jakob Chychrun has 18 points this season. Nick Jensen has 16. At even strength. Power play is really where Jakob Chychrun can use that bomb of a shot that we know he has and really elevate. But hey, not talking poorly about Jakob Chychrun anymore, just saying that, look, Ottawa is happy with who they have in the trade, and I'm sure Washington would say the same. I'm just glad I don't have to be the one paying Jakob Chychrun for 7 years at $8 million plus if he keeps this point totals up. So we'll see. This is how we expect the Washington Capitals to line up at 7 p.m. tonight at the Canadian Tire Center. Pierre-Luc Dubois, the top line center between Alex Ovechkin and Alexei Protas. You have Dylan Strome, rather. So many Stromes. Dylan Strome centering the second line with Connor McMichael and Tom Wilson. The third line is Lars Eller with Taylor Radish and Ethan Frank. And the fourth line is Nick Dowd with Brandon Duhaime and Andrew Mangiapane. On the back end, Rasmus Sandin with John Carlson. Jakob Chychrun with Trevor Van Riemsdyk. And then we also have Martin Fehervary playing on the left side with Matthew Roy. We expect Logan Thompson to be the goalie. Hunter Shepard is backing up as Charlie Lindgren, their typical other goalie, is out with injury. So, your lookout player to watch tonight, Bills.
Well, it's kind of obvious, Ross, but I'm going to be looking out for Jakob Chychrun. Like you mentioned, it was a win-win trade, but it's one of those things, Ross, where it's kind of like when you leave a relationship with someone and you're like, man, I had all these expectations of you and you didn't achieve those with me. And then you break up and then they go and do all the things you wanted them to do with you with someone else. And that would hurt, Ross, unless you get with a partner that now does all the things that you wanted your ex to do, just like Nick Jensen is kind of doing here. So that's kind of the feeling with Jakob Chychrun. I'm not that hurt by it. I'm glad he's doing well in Washington, but hopefully he has a stinker of a game and we see the minuses in the plus-minus range that he was when he was with the Ottawa Senators, because he's figured it out in that degree, Ross. He's a plus 17 this year with the Caps, and he's projected to finish with 60 points this season if he keeps it going at this clip. So crazy.
He had 41 points last year, which tied his career high at that point, but he was dash 30. So how about a goal and -4 tonight for Jakob Chychrun, just for old time's sake, buddy?
No goal, Ross. Come on.
Okay.
I don't know if you know, Ross. Levy Marilainen's playing tonight.
True. And here's a stat for you from the LOSP stats department. Alex Ovechkin, who has the second most goals in NHL history, has never scored on Levy Marilainen.
What a bum.
Alex Ovechkin is 21 goals away from tying Wayne Gretzky's all-time goals record, 22 from passing it. In his career against the Ottawa Senators, he has 36 goals and 60 points. Ovechkin has also scored a very critical goal against the Ottawa Senators. I believe it was his 500th NHL goal, if I'm not mistaken. And it was his 500th goal, and the bench cleared. They had to stop play. It was pretty embarrassing, honestly. So Ovechkin will be my lookout player to watch tonight. We're not going to pull up the Sens lines just based on the fact that we have the maintenance days and everything going on, but give me a locked on player to watch.
I'm going to be locked on to Brady Tkachuk, Ross. Like we've talked about, he hasn't had any points in the last couple games, yet this team has still found ways to win. So I want to see Brady get back on the score sheet here. So I'm locked on to number 7.
All right, I'll be locked on to number 72, Thomas Chabot. We'll see how he looks with the bubble, how his mobility is. I'm sure it won't be affected, but maybe the vision. We'll see how he's looking through that fishbowl, and we'll go from there with Thomas Chabot. But he's been playing some great hockey as of late. I'll give an honorable mention to his partner, Nick Jensen, who, of course, will want to impress against his former team. That's our game day preview. It is a 7 o'clock puck drop at the Canadian Tire Center, and we'll have the postcast for you right after the game. Let's get to our conversation with Ian Mendes, one of the best in the business, a very good friend of the show. This was, I believe, actually, let me double check this here. Ian Mendes, how many times have you been on the show, pal? Really curious to see this, actually. I want to say that he is 10.
Maybe 7, right? Oh.
No, way more than that. The final verdict as we move him up here, this is his 12th time. Cheaper by the dozen.
Nice.
With Ian Mendes. That's what we'll call this segment next on Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Indeed. Have you realized that your business needs to hire someone yesterday? How can you find amazing candidates fast? It's easy, guys. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, you can put your job at the top of the page to help you reach the right candidates faster. We've all been in that spot where you need the right hire and you needed it yesterday, but the pressure's on, and every day without the right person is a setback for your business. That's exactly when Indeed sponsored jobs come in handy. They make sure your post is seen by the right candidates right now. Now you can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on the Locked On Senators podcast. Once more, guys, that's Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed is all you need.
All right, we now welcome back a very, very, very special guest. One of the best friends for us here on Locked On Senators. It is Ian Mendes. Welcome back to the show, fella. How are you doing?
Guys, I got 3 varies. Very, very, very special friend. Yeah, I'll take it.
I mean, the first time we ever had you on, I don't even think I could have said one very without tripping over my own words. So we've come a long way here, over 1,200 episodes. But hey, go ahead.
Yes, and look at you now, global news host. Yeah.
Just trying to follow in your footsteps. I'm just a foul ball away from making it big time, eh?
That's right.
Well, this is the first time getting to catch up with you since you've gotten the job in Ottawa. You were hiding it from us when we last met up with you at the NHL draft. But how's everything going so far?
Well, I didn't know at that point. Okay. I wasn't hiding anything. But did I not join your show? I haven't joined your show since.
No, I thought it was something we said.
Well, probably was. Now I got to be super critical, right? I got to be like, well, I don't like those Locked On guys. They were too critical when we lost 6 of 7.
Never. Pillsy had the spin zones. He was basically in his rocking chair, but only turning sideways. The spin zones that were coming out of us. Hey, we're looking smart now. 3 wins in a row. How much are you living and dying with each game now? Because I know you were Mr. Impartial when you were a journalist. So how's the transition been to now being a part of the team?
It's, guys, it's wild in terms of and I hate to say, I don't want this to come across if I say that I didn't care if the team won or lost, because that's not the right way of expressing it. But it really didn't affect me, I guess, so to speak. And while I wanted the team to win, it was more for the, the fan base. I just felt like the fans were deserving of a winning product on the ice for the last few years. So when they would lose, it wouldn't grate on me, or I wouldn't live and die with the losses. And now, we should probably do something where we set up a camera in the final 5 minutes and watch, the PR staff or whoever watching the last 5 minutes, and we're just, every shot, every save, every zone entry it feels like is Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. So, but it's fun. It's, I haven't had this. I've had that. I only have this with the Dallas Cowboys, where I live and sort of die, and I can see your face. I see Ross's face. Like,
well, I don't know how much you've been living recently there.
Yeah, I've been dying. I've been dying a lot. So to have this back in my life as a hockey fan, because I grew up as a Habs fan. I know that people don't like to hear that, but that was my team as a kid, and I haven't really cheered for a hockey team since. So this is kind of neat to kind of be back into actually caring about the outcome of a hockey game again, which is something I hadn't done for 20 some odd years.
Yeah, I mean, as a writer, you're just looking for stories, right? Whether it's winning, losing, you're trying to find those stories that'll interest people and get people engaged. And then as a part of the PR team, much like our jobs, Ian, it's a lot easier to do our jobs when things are going well. People are having fun. There's winning. So I can see why you're now kind of living and dying with the team a little more. But on that note, I think people are interested in what goes into being a part of the PR team. So take us through. I know it's probably a difficult question because there's so many different types of days you have, but take us through a day in the life of your job these days.
What I love about this job now, and this is what I was hoping to get when, the opportunity came up there in July, was like every day, there's no 2 days that are the same, which is great. And it's really challenging. And challenging in a good way. Like I think I was at a point in my career where I was feeling a little like I was on cruise control a little bit. Like it, and don't get me wrong, I love working for The Athletic. I love writing for The Athletic. I just felt like, I don't know, I felt like I could feel myself sort of getting a little complacent, so to speak. And so with this job, you don't have the opportunity to be complacent, because there's 40 different things will come across your desk in the span of 6 hours. And we're working closely with the hockey department, right, and helping coordinate media, interviews, whatever, but we're working closely with our digital content team, coming up with ideas for stories, content. We'll have a great little piece that comes out later today with, this is our big mental health Let's Talk game against Washington on Thursday night. And I got a chance to sit down recently with Linus Ullmark and really have a great conversation with him about mental health. So I'm able to still sort of keep, it's very faint, but the journalism flame is still slightly flickering, or at least the reporting, interviewing, storytelling flame is still able to flicker. But I'm also working with, we work our department closely with the foundation. We work closely with marketing. We there's just so many things that come across our desk in a great way, where we're helping shape messaging or pull things together or execute events. And and then we also do it before every game. And I don't know if you guys have access to this. And you know what? Now that I'm saying this out loud, I kind of feel like you should have access to this, given your reach as podcasters, is, before every game, our department puts together fun notes, stats, etc., game notes. And so we put together, this is where I get to use the weird trivia side of my brain. And, so I was looking up, for example, when was the last time an NHL team had 3 goalies in the same season that all had multiple shutouts?
Yep.
So what's your guess?
Oh my goodness.
It's too hard of a question, but the answer is the 2020, I think it's 2020, 2021 Boston Bruins. Tuukka Rask, Jeremy Swayman, Jaro Halak.
Oh,
they all had at least 2. But I went back and I looked in the salary cap era. I think this is only the 8th time ever in the salary cap era that a team's had 3 goalies with multiple shots. So, I'm able to find those nuggets, those little stats, and we put them together. So do you guys have access to the NHL game notes?
Ross needs these. He's chomping at the bit right now.
I mean, you're going head to head against the LOSB stats department, which is a high bar. But yes, we would love to be a part of that email.
Okay, let me figure out how we can get you guys access to this, because really, like, the amount of information that's at your fingertips, it can really help you out. Like, so I looked that up again. You guys will love this.
Oh,
so Jake Sanderson. And maybe I should look this up and get it exactly right. But
no, you don't have to be right on this show.
Yeah, we don't fact check on this show.
Just be confident.
Yeah. So Sanderson played, I think it was 31-46 in the game on Long Island on Tuesday. The only other time a defenseman in Ottawa history has played more in a regulation time win was Eric.
I know
Carlson.
the answer.
We had this stat in
Tampa, right?
Yeah, I think so. I
was at the game. Borowiecki got hurt 5 minutes into the game. He played the whole thing.
Yeah, and it's great. So we're able to look up these little fun things. So now you're going to see these, and you're going to be like, okay, now you're going to try to. This is going to be good, because you're going to try and find better stats than we can get, and you'll probably end up pushing us to be better. So,
well, let's get right to the trivia then right now, because I spent a good hour. I said, man,
oh God.
Ian, I'm pretty sure the last time we had you on, we had you name every defenseman that's been a part of the Sens since the COVID break. And I think you got all but maybe Eric or it was the Dorier or something. And you, I think, went 16 for 17. So I really had to crunch the numbers here to get something for you. But
I think Ross too. The other trivia was who assisted on
Alfie's goal against Buffalo.
Heatley and Mazzaros.
Yeah, that is good. Well, this is similar to that. So in all the franchises in the National Hockey League right now, so forget like the Arizona Coyotes, for example, now, because technically it's defunct. But out of all the franchises right now, how many different points leaders are there all time for the Ottawa Senators?
Like against each individual team. This is a tough question to
exactly.
Okay,
I'll tell you, it's not a long list. It's not a long list.
For example, like Alfredson has the most against Montreal. I know that.
Correct.
Right? 100 and something.
Yep.
So you're asking for against each team?
Yeah, just the number. Like how many different Senators have the most points against said opponent?
Basically, how many Senators not named Daniel Alfredson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the number is 6.
The number is 5. But it's only 5 because of Utah and Vegas. Okay, so like Utah's a 3-way tie between Batherson, Gaudette, and Giroux. So that one's kind of a cheeky one. But if we take out Vegas and Seattle, because those are the new teams, there's only 3. Can you name the 3 players that have led the Senators in scoring against a certain opponent? Obviously, we already touched Daniel Alfredson. That's an easy one. Who are the other 2? One will surprise you.
One will surprise me.
And so one player has the most points against one team. The other is 4 different teams he has the most points against. It's obvious, but it's not at the same time.
So, man, this is tricky because I know, like, I think like Alfredson must have so many, right? Like
correct.
You said. So, gosh, this is what a great question. Boy, oh boy. Boy, Stone comes to mind, but that can't be. He wasn't there long enough.
He's not first or second against any team, or he's tied for second against one team. He's tied for second against one team. The Chicago Blackhawks. He's tied with Yashin for second.
Chicago's a weird team, hey? We're like
Pillsy knows.
Oh God, yeah, they are my kryptonite.
Yeah, like for whatever reason. Oh man, so Alfie, no, like I mean, I guess Spez maybe.
Oh, Spez is the bridesmaid. Spez is second against almost every single team.
Probably because he assisted on all of Alfie's goals.
All the goals.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, I'm feeling.
This is
really
an evil question because, man,
who had a ton of points for the Ottawa Senators?
Like just career points, you mean?
Yeah. He might have
Like,
a couple pieces of hardware in his trophy case.
Carlson would be a guy, but like,
Yeah.
Carlson against like, is it a random team?
It's against the Columbus Blue Jackets,
Okay.
the Detroit Red Wings,
Ooh.
the Minnesota Wild,
Whoa.
Wow.
and the San Jose Sharks. The Detroit one was what surprised me, but I guess they were in the Western Conference for all those years. Can you name the other one?
So there's one other guy.
He might be mad at you if you don't get it.
He might be mad at me if I don't get it.
And you might hear about it today.
I might hear about it today. So this is somebody I could run into.
Potentially.
Yeah, but see, like Giroux has picked up most of his points when he's with all these other teams.
It's not. This really surprised me, I will say. And it's a team you might have seen a couple times recently. Huh. Oh,
Against Dallas?
Yes, it is against Dallas.
So Kachuk has been really good against Dallas. I know that.
You nailed it. Brady Kachuk with his last point in Dallas. He didn't have one in Ottawa against Dallas, but in Dallas, passed Daniel Alfredsson for the most points, 13 in 11 games against the Dallas Stars.
This is such a good question because
nice.
Yeah.
Now are you ready for the most I don't even know if this is OCD or what, but if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to pull it up here. This is the games and points for Daniel. This is the LOSP stats department at work right here. Ian.
Exclusive.
So the amount of points and then how far back everyone else is. Look how many guys are double digits behind Alfie. By the way, Alfie with the second most goals against Buffalo of anybody behind Jaromir Jagr.
Wow.
Which was a pretty impressive stat there that I stumbled upon. But he's also, if you look at this, Edmonton and the LA Kings, Alfie's tied with Brady Kachuk. So soon, Kachuk could have the most points against Edmonton and LA. We know the Canadian division probably helping out Edmonton there. But I knew that this was a tough one. This was a tough one, Ian. I'm going to say that not many people would have expected you to get that
Ross
one right.
spent like an hour preparing it. So.
No, like it's such a great question. And like Alfie with 100, like I'd love to know, because I think Crosby's got 100 against the Islanders. Like, there's not that many players that have 100 points against one team.
Yeah,
like it's really hard to do
with Montreal. So I looked that up, Ian, because I was like, oh, is Alfie like top? Gordie Howe had 303 points against Montreal.
But that's like original six, right? Like they were just playing them so often, right? I wonder in the sort of modern era or even like 1980 to present, like, boy, points against Montreal. I bet you Alfie would be at the top or near the top. No,
I can tell you that he's close when you look at the, like, what are you talking modern era? Like, are you counting Bobby Hull, Ron Francis, and those guys?
Like, yeah, I guess Ron Francis, yeah.
So Ron Francis had 127 points, and then Alfie's Alfie's tied with Ray Bourque for most points against Montreal.
Wow.
So when you're in that conversation, I mean, that's pretty impressive in and of itself. Sorry, Gordie Howe had 313 games, 282 points against Montreal. So I'm not able to sort it by points per game, but I'm sure Alfie's right up there. 93 games, 107 points against Montreal. He had some fun against them.
Wait, so just for clarity's sake, the two answers were Carlson and Kachuk, Ross?
Correct.
Look at the jerseys behind us. We might have been a dead giveaway here.
It was hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, that's how we got you, Ian. The answer is right in front of you.
Nice. That's awesome,
That's
man.
great.
Hope you're enjoying our chat with Ian. We'll get right back to it. But first, Pilsy's got a word from one of our favorite sponsors.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Gametime. I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, or comedy. And now Gametime has made it even easier to get tickets for your favorite events with their new feature, Gametime Picks. This filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you're not wasting your time searching through thousands of tickets you don't even want. I was using the Gametime app to get tickets for my visit to Tampa Bay, Sens versus Lightning. And with Gametime Picks, I found amazing deals, and you can view your views from your seat before you even buy. The super deal is awesome, offers great seats at unbeatable prices. And if you want to know what it costs right up front, turn on the all-in pricing so you have no surprise fees at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, Create an account and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time.
Well, hey, we actually did, and I think you'd actually be interested to check it out too. On Christmas Day, we have one of our citizens, Mark Hamad, set up this entire Jeopardy game for us, and it was me, Martian, and Pilsy that did it, and it was like 200 to 1,000. It was like the full Jeopardy board, all with Sens trivia. I feel like you would have been a kid.
We
in the candy store
needed you,
there.
Ian. Ross, clean the floor with us.
Shmuel, we're actually going to do it one Four Nations tournament during that break. So, are you in for that?
So this would be like virtual.
Yeah, exactly. So Mark's got, and we have like a different internet page comes up, and you just click space if you know it, and the buzzer goes. It's like full on Jeopardy style. So it's pretty good. And we had a couple of comments saying we need Ross versus Ian as like a champions round of this.
Oh,
so
man.
I'm sharpening my knives, Ian. That's why I'm asking you the tough ones here. I'm trying to get your confidence down.
Which one of us will be the Ken Jennings of the Jeopardy? I don't know. You guys, there's some, and I bet you there's some citizens that would be right there. In the top
easily.
1. It's crazy. It's crazy how many people know so much about this fan base, right? Or how many people in the fan base know about the organization. It's wild.
I will say, though, I was kicking myself. You would have laughed me out of the room. First captain in franchise history. I just spaced and I said Randy Cunneyworth. I don't know what was wrong with me there. I know.
Lori Boschman.
I know. I think it's because his son used to kick my ass when he was with the Goulburn Rams in minor hockey. And I just, I've got that as a separate place in my brain I try to stay away from. But, man, that's good. So we will be in touch on that. What kind of challenges have come with the job? We know your day to day; it's different every day, and we love that you are still flexing your writing muscle and your interviewing muscle. That sit down with the pizza line was awesome, and getting to see them in a more relaxed environment where they're clearly comfortable with the interviewer. But has there been anything with this role that surprised you, or maybe been different than you expected going in?
No, I don't think so. It's for people watching on the screen, I pretty much wear a suit every day, and I'm like, that's like the exact opposite of the Athletic, right? Where, I would dress up to games, but, wasn't always wearing a tie. It kind of takes me back to my Sportsnet days on TV where I got to be wearing a suit here.
Well, don't tell Julian McKenzie that. Do you see his Faces magazine shoot? I mean, this guy's sharp.
Woo. That was a 12 out of 10.
Woo! I know. Hey, leave some for the rest of us.
Yeah,
Jesus.
seriously.
Yeah, so much for Hoodie and being on the Athletic. I mean, that's not a writer right there. That's a GQ model.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They do such a great job with the pictures at Faces. It's crazy. So, but in terms of challenges, not really. I think what really helped me out is that I had a working relationship with virtually everybody around here, right? The players, Steve Stais, like Dave Poulin, so it wasn't like, oh, okay, now you have to learn a little bit about me and I'll learn about you. I knew them, and Travis Green came in and he was a new coach, but he was kind of new for everybody, right? So that part of it has been really good. But yeah, I think it's a lot of this job is just like any other job, or certainly I think like being a reporter, it's relationship building. It's building trust with players, but also now what I find a little bit funny is being on this side of the fence, and now, all your friends and people you've spent time with in the media, it's almost like it's definitely a different dynamic. And I'm hoping that we can all kind of do some stuff. Nobody's had time to do it, but hopefully we can still socially hang out and golf and, go for beers or, whatever, that it doesn't sort of turn into a weird thing. But that would be probably the biggest adjustment or the biggest challenge is this, all these people that you've spent 10, 15, 20 years with, in the foxhole, so to speak, as reporters. And now all of a sudden you're behind enemy lines and you're trying to navigate that. That would be, I think, the most unique challenge so far for me.
Well, as you know, we do very important prep on this show. I went back and listened to a Dave Poulin hit when you were hosting the drive on TSN 1200. So kind of a full circular moment for
Holy
you guys,
cow.
to be working together. I mean, he's one of our favorites, always has been. I got the chance to work with him a little bit at TSN. So when you guys are saying you're trying to build a best-in-class atmosphere for us on the outside, seeing the guys who are coming into the organization, you can honestly, you can feel it for sure. So final question for me, Ian, and it could be the dumbest idea I've ever had. You can just shut it right down. You can say, ha, maybe. You can say, wow, let's get a plane ticket right now. You know we're a goalie-friendly show, right?
Yeah.
Content idea. Pilsy and I come with our gear and get GoPros on our head and have, whether it's Brady, whoever wants to come light us up after practice, and we do a pros versus podcasters segment
Ross,
on the show.
I love this. Let me add to it, though. How about the goalies shoot on us? Linus Ullmark, Levy, they're the ones shooting on
That's
us.
so embarrassing for us. They're going to light us up.
One of you two, do you guys actually, one of you plays goalie, right?
Both of us do.
Oh, you both do.
I have my gear. Yeah.
Okay,
We
for some
both
reason I
have
only
our
thought
gear.
Ross played goalie, but both of you
I was a
played
house league legend in Arthur, Ontario, Ian. I'm surprised you don't know that.
goalie. See, but no, this seems like the type of thing that we should, development camp
Yeah. Yeah.
would seem like a great,
That's
Get the-
hilarious.
prospects come in and wire.
And we get to walk into the Sensplex like we're the prospects. We're lost. We're looking like, hey, where do we get changed? Then all of a sudden we're putting our gear on in the bathroom. Like we don't get a stall or anything like that. Like we're in the bathroom trying to tie our
Really?
skates on the. I actually like that idea.
And we
And
can't. We
would
gotta
you
try
guys
to
be-
not tell people about it, and like you guys hype it up. Like, hey, we brought in these two goalies. They're kind of unknown. Like, we're gonna see how they do.
And we grow out our beards, Pilsy. It's development camp. All these 19-year-olds. We got like this long beard. Like we look like we just came out of retirement.
Would you guys honestly like Jakob Chychrun? Let's say he winds up from the point.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Are you staying in there? And-
Easily.
Or are you flinching?
Anything for content, Ian.
no, I'm there.
I might have to wear 2 jocks, but other than that, I'm there.
This might be a situation though where like some waivers would need to be signed.
We'll sign whatever.
Sign whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think development camp's actually the play. That's because then there's actually like a storyline to it. Like we get the big voice.
Right.
Hey, we get Rod Smith to say these 2 young players had their dreams slashed, but now they're back for a vengeance here and looking
Yes.
to earn an NHL contract as the emergency backup. Look, Pilsy's ready. Pilsy's ready. You know who made that for him? Doodling Daryl got the design for that. I know you know him.
Doodling Daryl is ridiculous in terms of the creativity. It's the little Easter eggs that are in the prints that I think are the best part of his work. Like just the things that you look at a picture and you're like, oh yeah, that's awesome. And then all of a sudden you look a little bit closer and you're like, you kind of look at the lapel of someone or look at someone's cufflinks or something that's on their stick and you're like, wow, like mind blowing.
He just made a design for us. This is, I guess, a little bit of a self-promotion, but it's also Daryl just doing his best. But he made a design for us, Goalie Friendly Show t-shirt with the old photo, the Ottawa Silver 7 with the Stanley Cup right in the middle. Yeah. So it's based on that, but it's the 7 best goalies in franchise history. And you look closer, and there's a cast on Dominic Hasek's adductor muscle. just happens to be a cast there. Ray Emery's wearing his boxing gloves in it, and obviously Hammond's got the hamburger right there. So you're right. Daryl's the best, man. The community, and I think that's something that should be the final question for me here, Ian, is like, I know that you've been very engaged in the community. Our guy Nick Spence said that you've gone above and beyond for him. His son's going through a few things, some challenges, and just how important is it for you in this role where you're being pulled in a million directions? There's no question about that. And these are pressing issues in terms of, getting the marketing and this and that, but to make it about the fans and the community, because we know that's always been one of your mandates, just going back to who you are as a person in broadcasting. How important was it for you to bring that into the organization to connect with the fan base?
Yeah, I think, you know what? I think, and you said it, like, I think my philosophy as a reporter was always like, your job is there. You're working on behalf of the fans. If you have a media credential, you should be working on behalf of the fans. You shouldn't be working on behalf of players and management and executive. Like, your job is, you're there to work. And so I think it's an easy transition for me to come here and say, like, well, I'm still working on behalf of fans, just in a different capacity. But what's neat is, now being able to, sometimes you get extra tickets to a game and that a fan would just really appreciate them because they're going through a tough stretch, or that they would just really, love to have a pair of tickets or something like that. So that part of it's been great. And I think what I love, though, doing is truly listening to fans. And I want people, your listeners, to know this. I've been on other shows and other, like, I want people to know that, like, there are people in this organization that are listening. Like, I'm listening, like, and I laugh when Ross, you're like, I got this dumb idea. And then I was like, man, I can't wait to hear what your dumb idea is. And, like, I kind of love dumb ideas. Does that make sense? Like,
that's why we pitch them to you, Ian.
Yeah. And so I love the idea of fans giving us ideas or giving us feedback, or saying, hey, what if you did this at gate 1, or what if you had this at the concession stands, or what if, like, why wouldn't we listen? And I've said this on other shows, and I'll say it to you guys because I think it's really important, is, we have ballpark, I'm going to say 200 people that work at the organization. That's a ballpark number of people who work, under our umbrella. And there's over 1 million people who live in Ottawa-Gatineau. And I always think to myself, like, somebody somewhere has an unbelievable idea to improve our organization. Now play the odds. Is that great idea in the pool of 200 people, or is that great idea in the pool of 1.1 million people? Where would you hedge your bet? I would go with the 1.1. So listen to people. Like, don't act because you work for a team that you know best. Like, we don't know best. Like, somebody knows better than we do somewhere, and that's okay. Like, just be open to the fact that somebody else might have a great idea, and that you don't have to own every great idea. So that's what I love. So, like, I really do encourage your listeners that are listening to us, reach out through these guys, reach out through the Locked On guys, hit them up with your ideas. They can flip them to me, whatever it is. And this is how we make an organization better. And more importantly, it's how we make the experience for you better as fans, as people who consume content of this team on a daily basis. That should be our only goal, is how do we make your experience better as a Senators fan?
I love that, Ian. That's why this organization is really following the mantra best in class. Final question for me is just kind of giving you the floor here, Ian. I know you got to go, but if you want to promote anything that's coming up for the Sens that the PR staff is working on. I know you just touched on discussing mental health with Lena Solmark. So maybe if there's stuff in the future past that you're excited to share or get people interested in.
Yeah, we do have, and I've talked about this, and I'll leave it for you guys to kind of muse about on your show, because I've talked about this. I think I mentioned this on TSN 1200 a couple of weeks ago, that, and it certainly won't be to the degree of the return of the pizza line, because I think that was, really, it's tough to top the pizza line for a myriad of reasons. And Danny coming home and all of it. But I think we're going to bring somebody back in, the back half of the season that people will love and people will enjoy, and people will say, like, oh, that's awesome that this person is coming back. And so I can see the gears turning in Ross's mind.
No, I might already know. I might already know. Don't worry, I'll leave this one to you guys. But
anyway, this is it'll be fun. So we have something like that planned.
That's awesome.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, that's about it, I think. Like in terms of that type of thing. And yeah, I usually only get a few minutes heads up if we've made a trade or a transaction. So it's not like I can tell you, yeah, we got something cooking. It's like, I don't know. I usually don't know until about 10 minutes before anyway. So,
well, I'll break the news to you then. Donovan Sabrango has been called up for tonight's game. A great story of perseverance and dedication to the game.
And his mom, if you've ever seen his mom, either on social media or just, like, you're not going to find a parent who kind of supports their kid like Kim does. And it's so great. And I'm hoping that, I don't know what the schedule is. Again, I don't even know if the kid is playing, but you'd love that his mom is in the building, right? If that is even a remote possibility, because it's, it's just, these are the stories that you love to see as a Senators fan.
Yeah, we touched base with her. She's going to come on the show, and she's like, I don't want to jinx it. Like, let's wait till he plays his first game, and then we'll chat. So, so that's our plan there. But it's always a blast having you on, Ian. You are the second all-time leader in guest appearances here on Locked On Senators. We truly cannot express how much our gratitude is for you and everything that you've done for us. And I mean, last time we got to see you was in person, one of the only live shows we've ever done, live on location. Not a whole lot of reporters.
We saw him in Montreal too, Ross.
Oh, true. Yeah, we absolutely did. So a couple live FaceTimes with Ian. But honestly, like, how many reporters are going to go up to a hotel room in Vegas and spend an hour on draft day recording with two schmucks? So we do really appreciate you, man, and I hope you know that. So we appreciate you coming on the show, man, and we're always already getting the Jeopardy lined up there for February.
Oh, let's do it. And yeah, thanks for having me. You guys know how much I respect what you do, the hustle that you do, the content you put out, the opinions that you have, the creativity that you bring every day to your listeners. It's awesome. It's what we as an organization should be striving towards, is engaging with entities like yours, because you're our audience, right? You're the people that we should care about the most, and the amount of care that you have for our organization it's amazing to see. So I love coming on with you guys anytime, and yeah, we'll do the Jeopardy in February.
Would you call it best in class?
Can I go best in sass?
Best in sass. All right, Pillsy, I'm fired up for this one. This is a great Eastern Conference test for the Ottawa Senators, taking on a great Washington Capitals team tonight. By no means are we putting a must win or anything like that, but this, to me, let's call it a measuring stick game for the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite the measuring stick, Ross, comparing yourself to the top team in the East. So we'll see how it goes, but it's the first time these two teams have met this season. So both teams, it's going to be interesting to see how they fare up against each other. And it's always good when you got guys who have been traded for each other going up against their old teams for the first time in Nick Jensen and Jakob Chychrun. So I'm excited for this one too.
How do you feel about the line over at FanDuel being minus 110 for both teams?
What?
Yep.
Wow, because those were the odds for the Islanders game. It was a pick'em minus 110 for each. So that is very, very surprising. But they're figuring out over at FanDuel that Levi Marilainen is a big, big factor into how these games go.
13 games in the NHL. Here are the ones that if you're an Ottawa Senators fan, you're going to want to pay attention to. The Anaheim Ducks are in Tampa. You're rooting for the Ducks. The Ducks just beat Tampa in Anaheim like 2 weeks ago. So we're hoping that that's going to be a good one. Pilsy, Detroit, their 7-game win streak is over. And now, you know what they get to do next? Go play the reigning Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers on the road. So we're also rooting for the San Jose Sharks tonight and the Anaheim Ducks. San Jose is taking on the Blue Jackets.
The Sharks are the ones that snapped that streak for the Red Wings, Ross. So they're clicking right now.
Stay hot, San Jose. We're going to be cheering for the New York Islanders tonight, and I promise you I will not be watching that game. I'm going to fall asleep just thinking about it. But the Philadelphia Flyers are in Long Island to take on the Islanders there. We've also got the Montreal Canadiens in Dallas to take on the Stars. That's going to be an important game for Dallas to get back on track.
Dallas recently beat them in shootout, so hopefully we can get a regulation win for the Stars here.
Yes, would love that. Then later on tonight, we're rooting for the Utah Hockey Club at home against the New York Rangers. Can't let the Rangers get hot. Need them to keep kind of spinning their wheels in mud. They had a golden opportunity to get 2 points in Colorado. Couldn't get the job done. Mackenzie Blackwood, thank you very much there. Those are the games that matter tonight for the Ottawa Senators. For the latest, head over to @SensCentral on Twitter. For now, we say goodbye. We will see you tonight in the postcast. And just one final note, the squad show from last night that was posted, obviously it's a network initiative. We do very much pride ourselves of being best in class and trying to have our Ottawa Senators fan base engage with every video. So we do notice the comments on that, and they are being discussed internally. So that's all I'll say about that. We thank you so much for making us your first listen every day. Thank you to Ian Mendes for coming on the show. Always a laugh with him. For today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.